All right, we're going to call this meeting to order at 6:21. Notice all of our commissioners are present. First item up for business is the approval or the approval of our minutes from the April 15th meeting. The chair would call or would
move to approve.
That's what I was looking for. Thanks. Kraus and Bohr. Any discussion on the meeting minutes of April 15th? We have a motion and second to approve.
Looks good.
Hearing none, all those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Open to audience. The audience has nothing to bring to our attention. Next is our accounts, our financial reports. We have no current claims, and in your packets you do have the financial reports for the last 6 months from June 30th, including Fund 404 for the Multimodal District and the Fund 208 for the EDA. Chair would move for acceptance of the financial reports.
Motion.
We have a motion to accept the financial reports from Councilor Deitch.
Commissioner Deitch.
Commissioner Deitch. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Commissioner Kraus. Any discussion on the financial reports? Hearing none, all those in favor to accept the report state by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We have no reports at this time. Moving on to the Director's Secretary's report. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, President, actually. I just wanted to provide some information again, background information that we've accumulated in the last quarter since our last meeting. And the Minnesota Opportunity Collaborative has provided some information here talking about the opportunity zones and investors. And so I just is here for the EDA's information. This is coming out of the Northspan group, and so it provides some background information on opportunity zones and then trying to create some public awareness and outreach, and then hopefully some collaboration and getting some projects done in these opportunity zones. And just as a reminder, we have one in the city. It's a census tract that essentially consists of South International Falls, and it goes north to 15th Street, and then all the way down to the Highway 332 truck route. So,
please.
President Drobe, I guess I have two questions. One, with regard to the Duluth Opportunity Zone portal, or this group, Minnesota Opportunity Zone Challenge, or whatever the one is, MinOpco. Are we involved in that at all? You know, if our KEDA group is, I don't know, and I'm just asking that question because I don't know. Secondly, is Mr. Roach's project eligible for the Opportunity Zone? Are you familiar with the Opportunity Zone?
I read part of that on the thing, but I don't know if it is or not.
It would be in the Opportunity Zone, thusly, for 10 years, any money invested in the project, any returns are earned tax-free for 10 years. You're in the zone.
Is that through the whole business park zone?
It's through as the city administrator pointed out, it's a census tract, which includes, I think it starts
on 15th Street.
15th Street and goes all the way out to 332.
Down to the airport.
And so I know your property is included in it. And so might be well to contact Paul Nevin and ask him what it would take, because you've just started building, and so it may be that it can be included in that opportunity zone. And as Commissioner Kraus pointed out, it would be it could be very advantageous
It's 10
And
years.
It's great to have that investment, to be able to report that investment.
10 years of tax-free growth. In the
On that property, that when you guys deeded that to me, there was nothing for tax-free on that property at that time.
But this is a new,
like income tax or taxes earned from your investment.
Capital gains tax.
Capital gains. So if you were to make money, you could make it tax-free.
Okay.
So any income that it would generate, capital gains, would be earned tax-free in the for 10 years in the opportunity zone.
This isn't a city program, this is something.
It's
This is
federal.
a federal program.
yeah, this is something that President Trump and the administration has put forth.
I would definitely, if I were in your seat, I would definitely call Paul and ask him more information on it.
Okay. So the second question is, I was looking at the other property behind Borderland Automobile, buying that property at the same time. Is that still in that same zone for?
If you were to develop it, you would be able to, again, any proceeds from your developing whatever you're doing, your capital gains would be earned federal income tax-free. And I believe state income tax as well. I believe. Don't quote
I'm
me
not
on it. I'm
familiar
not
with
certain on state. It may or may not be.
This is only on new bid or new?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And it's just on investment in, so what some cities have is an actual like portfolio full of different things.
I heard this on the internet, but I didn't quite understand it, so that's why when you guys said it, I was going to stay and listen.
And I know Paul has got some projects in the works right now.
Potential.
Potential projects, say south of Chocolate Moose, that fall in the opportunity zone on a little
And they're
triangular
also
piece of
in-
property there that has
they're-
been invested by individuals looking to gain money tax-free.
Definitely look into it.
Yep.
Moving on, Administrator? You have any-
Yep. So that's there for your information. I've also included a couple of articles. One was from May and the other was from July. DEED, the Minnesota Employment and Economic Development Office, puts out information and shows employment projections. So I'd like to provide this information for the EDA commissioners and also as council members to just be aware of and see what's happening. And in the May one, you can see that the job vacancies were actually rising, which is a bit of a surprise, but I just provide that information for background. And then I saw a somewhat depressing article about that somebody had put in the conversation as the source of the money here, but they indicated that a lot of America's rural areas are doomed to decline because of the way people are gravitating towards urban areas. And so it's just a bit depressing, but actually it seems to be consistent with what you see in some of the smaller communities around or rural areas around the state. But it's not exclusive. I mean, there's some ebbs and flows and all that, and there's some charts which didn't reproduce the best here, but it's color-coded to kind of show where the areas that were having downturns versus stronger economies were shown.
Commissioner Anderson, you had a point.
President Droba, I think the work that you're doing with regard to the KTI broadband efforts that you've been pushing on, I think could have a strong effect on certainly some rural areas not seeing a decline. Whether we'll see growth, I don't know, but I think that potential for people to be able to do more work at home or because of good broadband service. So I thank you for your efforts in that area.
Well, and I was going to point that out as well. And one of the things that KTI has been working on pretty diligently is to expand broadband outside the city limits of International Falls, which for us as a city, that's like doom and gloom. Everyone will want to move outside of the city. But what is good is it gets people to that central hub of International Falls or to that rural area. So if we were able to get more people that want to move to the lake, to move to the country, be able to spend their days, weeks, and ultimately live here because they have access to their business ventures elsewhere. We can see it in a lot of the people that have been displaced from United Healthcare. We're seeing it with a co-working space that's being built here in our community at the old Balon Furniture. That came into existence from KTI as well to try to get people to have access to internet. And I do think that is going to be one of the things that helps rural areas. And for us, it is the lake. It is the small community being able to access the country, the lake, and the internet gets the millennials and younger people that would want to come and work and be able to do their work from home or from an extra office to slowly but surely curb this stuff. And as sad as it is, a lot of people are shopping online. They're able to access, we may not have exactly what they're looking for in our community, but it's nothing for people to go online and purchase items. Obviously, we still want to push buying local and utilize our local stores, local-owned businesses. But as we're moving forward, more and more stuff is being purchased online, and I think that is going to help communities as well in some capacity, but we need to get our business communities online so that they're selling online, so their global market is just as strong as anybody else's. There are a couple of businesses in our community that have been using online to grow. Well, I don't want to name all of them out, but there are groups that have been selling things wholesale. So they're selling to businesses all over the country, getting in different shops and building their business and growing here. So it's a reverse trend. If we can build that internet-based business from here where we're building something that people want all over the world, we can manufacture it and ship it out. That's not going to be a problem, but you need to have the infrastructure and the internet backbone to be able to do that. So that's one of the key things that KTI has been working on, and I'm very happy to be part of that group. So I think that could curb some of the rural decline as long as you have the infrastructure behind it. That's all I had on that.
I would just add, President Droba, in my own family, I have a son who works out of his home, works for a firm in Chicago, but he has several computers in his basement, and that's where he does his work daily. Mm-hmm. Does have to travel once in a while to meetings in Chicago, but that's certainly can be done. So I think that good broadband service is going to be a real key to turning that around. So thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other? Did you want to touch on the U.S. Bank Trust Department, Ken?
Other than just a verbal report that we had by July 1st, they need reports on that, and we've submitted that information, and so we're current with that.
Thank you for having these articles.
Yeah, these are great. Any other business? The last thing I just want to bring up, and it's not anything that we really need to jump on right now, but I think in our community we see a lot of businesses closing, and there's a lot of businesses that are opening up as well. And I think if we actually looked back at where we're at now, our downtown has a couple of vacant buildings, but we've had a lot of growth in our community that people aren't seeing, and we have some new investments that are coming in, and obviously we are anticipating a hotel being by the Chocolate Moose. We have some growth in businesses that are local investments that have been growing their businesses. And I think that one of the things we should do maybe towards the end of the year or when maybe the mayor gives a State of the City address, kind of focus in on some of the business ventures that have been, the investments that we've had in our community, because now downtown we have Border Boost. It's a nutritional shake company. There's other investments that are coming into our community, but I think we miss them sometimes. So I think it would be really neat to be able to see all the businesses that have came into our community over the course of the year. We have some that come and go, but we have some that stick around. And I think it would be really nice to have a list of the businesses that have made an investment into our community. So just something to look at possibly doing at the end of the year and compiling some information.
President Droba, if I
Yes.
may, I would certainly echo that. I think there's no doubt that the community is in a transition. I think it's in a redevelopment. I think we're seeing some businesses close and some businesses open, and so I think we're definitely in that kind of a period, as I think much of the rural Minnesota and rural America is in that same. And so, I don't think people ought to paint a dark cloud over the community at all.
It's so weird in this day and age that you bring up Facebook posts. There was a Facebook post that was down on the city, but one of the people that had commented, they said something to the effect of International Falls is no different than any other community in rural Minnesota or rural America. Things are going to be different. You may not have all the amenities that you remember before, only because some of those amenities aren't needed anymore. So now we're going into something different. It doesn't mean that we're going into something worse. It just means that we're going into a transition to what smaller communities are going to look like. We still may grow. We still are going to be a community with good people, good hearts, and be able to grow as a community. It just may look different than what our memories of what I was when I was a kid. We've heard, I heard that the Little Fork Fair this weekend was fantastic. Our 4th of July was one of the best I remember in the last at least 10 years. I mean, we have to invest in our community. We have to get people involved in our community. Absolutely, and with what the mayor was able to bring with having former Mayor Ness come in, we have to get people to be involved in our community and invest in the community. If everybody wants to watch the parade, there's nothing to watch. Some people have to give up that so that they can be in the parade. And I think that's one of the things we have to turn around in our community is the mindset. Just because we don't have something in our community isn't, you have to wait for someone to bring it in. If it means that much to me, I have to invest myself into my community and make the leap of faith that a business would work. And I think that's one of the things we really have to start striving for is how do we get these young people or these 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds to make that leap of faith that I don't want to go to my normal job. Maybe I need to invest and try something else and invest into our community and start a business. And I've done it 3 times. I'm thinking about doing it again. But it's that's how we build a community. We get people involved, and we get people to say, instead of someone else should build that, I'm going to build it. And how do we get those people to move forward with those thoughts? How do we get them to go to the SBA? How do we get them to go to the EDA, to KEDA, and make an investment in the community? So that's. I just think that we are right on the cusp of something great. I think we have hit bottom, and I think we're coming up. But maybe I'm an optimist too. So that's all I have. Anybody else have anything further business to bring before the EDA? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.